Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back. We'll get started. Om. Om. Anत्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामविद्यवत् ॐ गणेशाय नमः ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये वागीशाद्या सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलम् सर्वधी साक्षिभूतम् भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्य केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् यस्य सन्निधिं मात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम् Hari Om everybody, welcome back to our weekly Vedanta classes on Viveka Choodamani. Let's get started with our Mangala Charana Shloka. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. After gaining the understanding on the methodologies to intellectually understand the Mahavakya Tattvamasi, although the Vedantic knowledge tells me that I am Brahman, we saw that the contrary notion in me, the Viparita Bhavana, the habitual tendencies that are deep rooted from several births and deaths. To break that habit, we were advised a series of Nididhyasana shlokas and to practice Vedantic meditation to build a repository of Atma Vasanas. We learned in the last few weeks how to flood the mind with this Atmakara Vritti, this Brahmakara Vritti, by repeated call to the mind, by giving the same kind of thoughts referring to Brahman. If you missed any of these sessions, I would urge you to re-listen these lectures on our Chinmaya Ramanam channel. And thanks for all the positive comments, by the way. I really appreciate that. We also saw the verse number 37 from Atma Bodha as a good reference for our reflection, for contemplation. The famous quote in that, Roganiva Rasayanam. Just like they give us this medication in Ayurveda, that Rasayana, which seeps into the bloodstream to cure the disease, Vyadhi, Gnanabhyasyat Vinirmalam. This technique of Nididhyasana, this Nirantara Abhyasa, this constant contemplation, this Brahma Chintanam, what it does, it gets rid of this chronic disease of ignorance, Ajnana. Harati Avidya Vikshepan. The ignorance and all associated agitations. And it slowly leads us to develop these repository of Atma Vasanas. We went through from verses 254 all the way to 263. If you can memorize it, more power to you. Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji repeatedly told the student, that is you and I, Brahma Tattvamasi Bhavayatmani. You are that Brahman. Contemplate on that. Realize that Brahman for yourself. So today we will start with verse number 265. Let me share it on the screen. Sambodhamatram parishuddhatatvam Vignaya Sanghe Nrupavaccha Sainye Sambodhamatram Parishuddhatatvam Vignaya Sanghe Nrupavaccha Sainye Tadashraya Svatmani Sarvada Stito Vilapaya Brahmani Vishwajatam Vilapaya Brahmani Vishwajatam Sambodham together one more time. Sambodhamatram Parishuddha Tattvam Vignaya Sanghe Nrupavaccha Sainye Tadashrayasvatmani sarvada sthito Vilapaya Brahmani Vishwajatam Sambodha Matram Parishuddha Tattvam. Realizing this Brahman, this knowledge absolute, in that cause and effect bundle, Vignaya Sanghe Nrupavaccha Sainye, like the king in an army in the olden days, how every soldier in the battle draws inspiration, performs his allotted duty by the king. Similarly, Atman here in this example is not doing anything. He lends sentiency to this inert matter layers. In and through them is established in them. In Atmabodha, if you remember, we had talked of two things. Vivichya, Pravilapya. Vivichya is the separation from Atma and Anatma. After separation, Pravilapya. We need to dissolve this Anatma in Atma. Tadashrayasvatmani sarvada sthito Vilapaya Brahmani Vishwajatam. Taking refuge, ashraya, in that divine, the advice here is merge, dissolve. Dissolve what? Dissolve the ego and its byproducts. And we need to say our Mahavakya from the group every day. Ego is not my amigo. I have to let it go. Dissolve all of this worldly pluralistic experience in that Brahman. Moving on to 266. Buddhau guhayam sadasad-vilakshanam. Buddhau guhayam sadasad-vilakshanam. Brahmasti satyam paramadvitiyam. Brahmasti satyam paramadvitiyam. Buddhau guhayam sadasad-vilakshanam. Brahmasti satyam paramadvitiyam. Tadatmana yotra vaset guhayam. Tadatmana yotra vaset guhayam. Punarna tasyanga guha pravesha. One more time together. Buddhau guhayam sadasad vilakshanam. Brahmasti satyam paramadvitiyam. Tadatmana yotra vaset guhayam. Punarna tasyanga guha pravesha. Buddhau guhayam. In the cave of the Buddhi, there is that Brahman. This is the direction. Which Brahman? Sada Sad Vilakshanam. Distinct from the gross and the subtle. We know what is gross and what is subtle in our analysis. Brahmasti Satyam. That existence absolute. Paramadvitiyam. Parama means that supreme. Advitiyam, the one without the second. The one who lives in this cave as Brahman, in the cave of our intellect. Once we discover that, there is no more entrance into the mother's womb. Let's understand the last two lines of this verse. Tadatmana yotra vaset guhayam. Punarna tasyanga guha pravesha. Here Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is using a wonderful expression, guha, in two ways. Guha means cave. First one is Buddhi Guha, cave of the intellect. As we go deep inside, in that inner journey, what happens? As we go inside a cave, most of you might have visited caves like Lorey Cavern or Mammoth Caves in Louisville, etc. When we go inside the cave, what happens? We are cut off from the turmoil of the outside world because it is all calm inside, it is still inside. So here he is saying, when we leave our sensory world and go deep inside in that inner journey, when we go deep inside, there we realize Brahman. Buddhau guhayam sadasad vilakshanam. Brahmasti satyam paramadvitiyam. If you remember one of the earlier verses of Viveka Choodamani, first stage was Atma Anatma Vivechanam. That milestone chart, remember that. Leading to Swa Anubhava, experience of the self. And then Brahmatmana Samstitihi, firmly established in that Brahman. So what happens to the one who is in that Brahmatmana samstitihi, one who lives in the cave of that intellect? Tadatmana yotra vaset guhayam punarna tasyanga guha pravesha. Those who live in that buddhi guha will not have to enter the anga guha. What is that anga guha? That is the cave of the mother's womb. Meaning, he does not have to be born again. He does not have to be deluded again. Hope you caught that. When we say, when you born again, means punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jatare shayanam. When Mrs. Subbalakshmi musically sings Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, it does not sound so bad. You seem to just sing along. But when you analyze this way, it is scary. Imagine being fully liberated. Imagine being freed from the cycle, perpetual cycle of birth and death for good, forever, done. Imagine that when it is over. But it is not that easy. We will discover in 267 a cautionary note. Te vastunyapi balavati vasana nadiresha. Nate vastunyapi balavati vasana nadiresha. Karta bhokta pyahamiti drudha यास्य संसार हेतुः कर्ता भोक्ताप्यहमिति दृढा यास्य संसार हेतुः प्रत्यग्दृष्ट्वात्मनि निवसता सापने या प्रयत्नात् मुक्तिं प्राहुः तदिह मुनयो वासनातानवं यत्. One more time together. ज्ञाते वस्तुन्यपि बलवती वासना नादिरेश. कर्ता भोक्ताप्यहमिति दृढा यास्य संसार हेतुः प्रत्यग्दृष्ट्यात्मनि निवसताम् सापने या प्रयत्नात् मुक्तिं प्राहुः तदिह मुनयोः वासनातानवं यत्. This is our Puja Guruji's favorite verse. Even after the truth has been realized by the study of the Shastras, Balavati Vasana Adiresha, there remains that strong, anadi, beginningless vasanas, impressions. What type of impression? Karta bhokta pyahamiti drudha yasya samsara hetuhu. This kartrutva, that sense of doership, bhoktrutva, sense of enjoyership, me, mine, that will remain. That is samsara hetuhu again. We will get dragged down into this samsara, the cause of one's transmigration. Here Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is cautioning the sadhakas. Even after all these studies, the vasanas have to be thinned down. By what? By alert living. He is saying be vigilant, be alert. Various obstacles will come. In Kathopanishad, it says this path is like Shurasya Dhara, walking on razor's edge. Anytime you might fall. Various obstacles will come in getting rid of these powerful vasanas. So, what are these vasanas? Let us look at 270 and 271. What is the method? Lokanuvartanam tyaktva त्यक्त्वा देहानुवर्तनम् शास्त्रानुवर्तनं त्यक्त्वा स्वाध्यासापनयं कुरु. One more time, 270. लोकानुवर्तनं त्यक्त्वा देहानुवर्तनम् शास्त्रानुवर्तनं त्यक्त्वा स्वाध्यासापनयं कुरु. 271. लोकवासनया जन्तोः शास्त्रवासनयापि च देहवासनया ज्ञानम् यथा वन्नैव जायते. One more time, 271. लोकवासनया जन्तोः शास्त्रवासनयापि च देहवासनया ज्ञानम् यथा वन्नैव जायते. See, Vedantic texts, they classify these vasanas, these deep impressions within us, they obstruct the knowledge. It's called pratibandha, just like the flow is obstructed in a pipe when there is clogged. Like that, they are the vasana traya. Three types of vasanas. What are they? One is loka vasana, second one is shastra vasana, and the third one is deha vasana. So what Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji here is saying, people will not get true wisdom, true knowledge, if they run after the world. Meaning, when they have dominant loka vasana. Just like living a routine of unintelligent life. So here Shankaracharya ji is saying, even after one intellectually knows the Paramatman, the vasanas or our innate tendencies, such as I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, me. So that still remains strong. That he is saying is the cause of samsara. We think this samsara has some sara, some SOME, English SOME. Sara means essence. We think it has some sara, but it is asara, no essence whatsoever. How? Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji gives this example, Kadali Garbhavat, like this plantain, banana stump. He was from Kerala, so he had a lot of these examples. Banana stump. If you keep peeling, what happens? At the end, there is nothing. Like that, instead of human beings, we become human doings. Do this. We keep peeling, going after one after the other. At the end, Dukkalayam, Ashashwatam. There is nothing. I actually like the peeling of the onion example that's shown here better, because as you're peeling, as you're into the samsara, it gives you tears, dukkam, just like peeling of the onion. So this threefold vasanas, this vasana traya, let's recap that a little bit. I have shared that and explained this before in a few other classes, but just for the benefit of those. Loka vasana, Shastra vasana, Deha vasana. Let's start with Loka vasana. This is an inherent tendency of a person to live a life of imitating a false set of values, undesirable habits. What does this person do? Always trying to earn appreciation, respect of others' opinions, mana apamana. When these type of vasanas are dominant, the person will lead a unintelligent imitation of others in the society. Sense gratifications are dominant, kind of blindly following the patterns of this popularism in the society, kind of show off type of behavior, kind of living up to the jounces, they say. He or she will act in the way that others will not censure, but always keep praising. I think I have shared this story before, how this loka vasanas that dominate, this story will narrate. I think it is mostly from Panchatantra or a parable. Once there was this elderly man. He was walking along with his grandson, and they both had a donkey with them, little donkey, and they were walking instead of riding the donkey. Everybody loves this story, so I want to narrate this to the best of my ability. When they were passing by, they heard someone in the crowd. They said, "Look at this old man and this foolish boy. They're walking. They have a donkey. They're walking instead of riding on it." So hearing this, the old man told the boy, "You ride on the donkey, I will walk." So the boy hopped on the donkey, and the old man was walking alongside till they crossed another group of people, and they heard one person say, "Today's children, I tell you, they have no respect for elders. Look at the audacity of this little boy. The elderly person is walking and he is happily riding along. So the little boy jumped off the donkey and then he asked the grandpa, "You ride the donkey." So grandpa hops on the donkey this time. Few minutes later, they heard, "Look at this old man. He is so mean. He is letting this little boy walk and he is riding." That affected them. What did they do? They both jumped on the donkey, started riding the donkey. A few minutes later, they heard one woman yell at them and said, "Don't you have any pity on that donkey? You probably, both of you together, weigh about 300 pounds. How can you both ride that little fellow?" So the story ends on this little humorous note that the old man and the little boy were so tired of all these comments, they tied the feet of the donkey to that pole, started carrying that donkey. Goes to illustrate what? Goes to illustrate the fate of the people who are always trying to please and follow others' opinions. They know independent thinking. Lokavasana, dominantly Lokavasana. I have to conform to the norms to make sure I please everybody all the time. Then comes the Shastra Vasana. Shastras are meant to be pointers. No amount of studies will give us the experience of the self. We can keep studying, like I had mentioned, what our Puja Gurudev used to say. These are pointers, he would say. If I point to the moon, if you keep looking at my finger, he would say, you will never see the moon. You have to let go of my finger and look at the moon, the pointed. You have to let go of the pointer, look in the direction indicated by the pointer. Otherwise, it becomes like we are looking at the milestone. Let's say we are driving back to Michigan from Toledo. We look at the milestone which says Michigan 20 miles, assuming we have reached our destination. Similarly, all these scriptures, they or the means, the methodology to reach the truth. But if the sadhaka mistakes this intellectual thrill from the scriptural study as the experience itself, this is like mistaking a nice looking menu card or a recipe for food. However attractive the menu card may be, it will not satisfy the hunger. Like that. So it is important to do swadhyaya, study of the scriptures, but not overemphasis on that, so that it turns into an obstacle in the progress. There are many instances in the Puranas where one time Durvasa Muni goes to see Lord Shiva with a load of books, and Narad Muni, who happens to be there at that time, compares him to a donkey carrying this load, doesn't know what precious load it is carrying, like that to Durvas Muni, meaning Shastra should not become a thorn in our progress. Then we have the Deha Vasana. No wonder we have to take care of our body. This is a necessary vehicle for our spiritual journey. Just like the car needs fuel, periodic oil change, periodic maintenance to get us from point A to point B. We need a healthy body, and more importantly, we need a healthy mind. No questions. But in one of the verses of Viveka Choodamani itself, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji says, the one who is very passionate attachment to the body is like the one who is trying to cross a river on the back of a crocodile, mistaking it to be a log of wood. It's like that, he says. So the point is, it is important to take care of the body as it is an important vehicle in our sadhana, but important to give up the Deha Vasana, not to engage in overindulgence. That is the point. So coming back to the verse 270, लोकानुवर्तनं त्यक्त्वा त्यक्त्वा देहानुवर्तनं शास्त्रानुवर्तनं त्यक्त्वा स्वाध्यासापनयं kuru. Loka is this worldly dimension. Vyavaharika satta, transactional reality. We stick to, in that, what do? We stick to our social norms. How do you do? We ask people, how are you doing? So happy to see you. We don't even mean when we say that. We constantly make these dishonest gestures, saying things we don't mean. We ask how you're doing. And lot of times, we don't even wait for the answer. We don't care for the answer. This is Loka Anuvartanam. Whereas Lokottara is the spiritual dimension, Paramarthika Satta. In this, it takes a special importance. We don't have to adhere to any falsehood, no show business. We need to be true to ourselves. Similarly, paying too much attention to the body, Deha Anuvartanam, Shastra Anuvartanam, endless studies, endless discussions people engage in, purposeless arguments, meaningless discussions. And people also follow different teachers, listen to different lectures, and then they get confused. As long as we understand the essence and use this means to get the big picture, to enable successful sadhana practice. Like they say, this should be a means to the end, not an end to itself. We can do one more today. Samsara Karagruha Mokshamichor. Samsara Karagruha Mokshamichor. Ayomayam Pada Nibandha Shrunkalam. Ayomayam Pada Nibandha Shrunkalam. Samsara Karagruha Mokshamichor. Ayomayam Pada Nibandha Shrunkalam. Vadanti Tagna Patuvasanatrayam. Vadanti Tagna Patuvasanatrayam. Yosmad Vimuktah Samupaiti Muktim. Yosmat Vimuktah Samupaiti Muktim. One more time together. Samsara Karagruha Mokshamichor. Ayomayam Pada Nibandha Shrunkalam. Vadanti Tagnaha Patuvasanatrayam. Yosmad Vimuktah Samupaiti Muktim. Vadanti Tagnaha Patuvasanatrayam. The wise men say these three vasanas are like the iron shackles. Pada Nibandha Shrunkalam, shackles on our feet. The one who wishes to free himself, he calls it Karagriha. From this prison of samsara, here the world is compared to a prison. Karagriha. This trifecta, this vasana traya, these three types of desires, three types of vasanas, what they do, they create this bondage and imprison us. So we have to break away from these shackles and to come out of the prison. How? There are techniques given. We will see that in the next week, same time. Not same time. We are falling back from next week onwards. So please make an adjustment in your schedule. We will start an hour earlier to those who are there. in the East Coast and other time zones. So please mark your calendar accordingly. I will also send a reminder. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Tat Sat. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see auspiciousness. May none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. With that, I'll open it up for our interactive session. Please stay back. We will have a discussion.